Until this pandemic is contained or just burns itself out, COVID-19 is in the driver's seat. It's a very bad driver. There's nothing more important than getting this crisis under control. That's how we save lives, and it's how we resuscitate the economy, too. But we can't contain this virus until we know who has it. And what are the characteristics of those who have it? The thing is, we can't know who has it until we ramp up our diagnostic infrastructure. There just haven't been enough test kits here in the United States. Fortunately, on Friday, the FDA issued special emergency use authorization for 2 new tests for Roche and Thermo Fisher Scientific, which is a company you know we like very much. Thermo Fisher is a longtime Cramer fave. It's the #1 maker of life science instruments and lab equipment. Think of them as an arms dealer to the biopharma industry. I think the stock is enticing here. It's down more than $60 from its highs. More importantly, they're a huge part of the fight against COVID-19. So let's take a close look with Marc Casper. He's the chairman and CEO of Thermo Fisher Scientific. Learn more about the diagnostic breakthrough that he has. Mr. Casper, welcome back to Mad Money.
Jim, thank you for having me today, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. And let me start, Jim, by just thanking my colleagues at Thermo Fisher that have been engaged around the world in addressing this pandemic.
Well, Marc, I have to tell you, when I saw the press release, I said, they got the professionals involved. You know how much respect I have for your company. How did this come about, and how are you able to produce the numbers? I mean, I know a lot of people feel like we were caught flat-footed or whatever, but I don't really care about that. I care about where things are going, not where they came from. You were able to produce something that really could save a lot of people's lives.
So, Jim, once the outbreak started in China, our teams mobilized to actually start to develop a test, and during the course of the last month, we've been working on that. Once in the U.S., the state of emergency was declared about a month ago, by the Secretary of Health and Human Services, we actually started working very closely with the FDA and collaborating. We're able to get that authorization from the FDA to have our test on Friday of last week.
All right, so where will we see Thermo Fisher's tests?
Jim, can you say that again? I apologize.
Where will we see these tests? So they're going to be part of when we're at Walmart, at the parking lot, or is it our doctor's office, emergency rooms?
Yeah, so what you'll see, these tests will be at the laboratories across the country. The protocol here is we'll be shipping to about 200 laboratories. We've actually started that process across the country. Samples will be collected at either your doctor's office or at a testing center, depending on what's available locally. Those samples will then be brought to a laboratory, and each state will know which laboratories have the tests. And then once the process starts, it's about 4 hours from the receipt of the test at a laboratory to actually getting a result.
So I will know. I take a test at 10 with a Thermo Fisher instrument, and I might know, say, by 3 o'clock whether I have this or not?
Yeah, what's going to determine the time is how quickly the sample can get to the laboratory and what the backlog is in the lab. But once that testing starts in 4 hours, you'll know the answer.
Why is this the best test?
It is a test that can be distributed across the country and around the world, and the labs know that it is high quality and reliable, and it simplifies their workflows tremendously. So it is really a proven technology that we've worked on in other diseases in the past, whether it was H1N1 or Zika, things of that sort. So we're experienced in doing this.
The numbers that you're talking about making are staggering. How do you have the equipment? How do you have the supplies on hand to make this many?
So we have already about 1.5 million tests in stock, and we began shipping them yesterday and today. So that's what's currently in stock. But we're ramping up to about 2 million tests of production a week. And then over the course of April, we'll be able to get that to about 5 million tests a week in terms of production. So a very dramatic ramp up. We have very large factories to make these tests, Jim.
Do you think that, look, you're not Dr. Fauci, and we all adore, but should everyone take one, or is it really you should think maybe you have a pre-existing illness, you're elderly, and that someone, say, in their 40s or 50s that has a cold should not, in your opinion, take one?
So I think in this case it's very straightforward. You follow the government guidelines of, whether you have symptoms and what risk profile you are, and you follow those procedures to determine whether you should be taking the test or not. And that's, how I would think about it for myself as well.
Is there much difference between your test and the Roche test?
there's only one competitor out there, and that's the virus. And the more tests available for the public, Jim, is really what the important thing is. And you have tests from ourselves, you have tests from Roche, and you also have some home lab-developed tests as well. And expanding that capacity so that it's across the country and in other countries as well is super important in addressing the virus.
Okay, one of the things that I look, hate him or like him, President Trump brought together a lot of different executives in what I think is a very quick partnership. Are you happy with the way things are going now, the public-private partnership? Is it what you would want? I've known you for a long time. You're an exacting person who wants to do things right. Are we getting it right?
Yeah, the thing that I thought was super encouraging from my perspective is that the FDA collaborated throughout the process, worked literally around the clock with us, but they never reduced the standards, right? They wanted to make sure that, everything was clinically validated, and make sure it's safe and reliable for the American people, and that's exactly what I would want, and it's been a very collaborative process, and I'm very appreciative of it.
But this is rapid fire, right? I mean, this is something that you've never seen before. I'm not saying that they're not rigorous. I am saying that there is an element that we should feel a little bit good about as Americans, that you got this thing together this quickly.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the collaboration, and we had executives from the lab companies that do the testing and companies like ourselves that supply them, and the government asked, what do we need to be as fast as we can, and it's been a very collaborative process from that perspective.
So do you talk to Dr. Fauci?
I did not in that case. I did work with the head of the CDC and the head of the FDA.
And just in general, just because I have you did a QIAGEN, you did this fantastic acquisition. And I know that I don't want to conflate lives with money, but I just want to congratulate you. It seems like I know it just happened, but it's a great idea for Thermo to do that, correct? Obviously.
Yeah, Jim, we, as you know, have a proven growth strategy, and we invest to create a bright future and strengthen our offering for our customers. And earlier this month, we announced a large acquisition, about $11 billion acquisition to strengthen our molecular diagnostics and life science solutions portfolio. And we look forward to next year welcoming our 5,000 new colleagues from QIAGEN to the company. It'll be an exciting addition. And one of the things that particularly will be very positive is that they will strengthen our infectious disease portfolio, which I think is something that will be very important going forward as well.
That's right. I mean, people think, oh, Cramer's trying to recommend this stuff. No, I saw what they do. They have TB. They do a lot of very tough stuff. And yet it was just still one more great acquisition that you have done, Marc, Casper, and you've done a fabulous job with Thermo Fisher. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Jim, thank you for having me today.
Look, we can be gloomy. No, I'm not like that. I just saw Marc Casper. When I heard that he was involved with this, I said, that guy is a hitter. We do have hitters in this country. We're not a total, we can get this. We can beat this. Things like Thermo Fisher. And money's back after the break. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.